just saved the world, and we even brought all our friends together. But somehow another dark fountain opened and my school friends were captured. We have to dive in and recruit new allies to help us defeat the powerful queen. There will be love, betrayal, and even a crazy email guy. Will we be Bigshot enough to seal this dark world and rescue our friends? This is 100% of Deltarune Chapter 2. I wake up to my mom screaming after she catches me eating all her pie. It is your knife in this empty tin, is it not? I never thought I would see Goat Mama face palm. She scrunched up her whole face like she shoved it inside a lemon. Bro, if I was looking so feral like that, I'm surprised I didn't pounce up on the counter on all fours and just go. But she laughs it off and tells me to get out of bed for school. So I head out and check the drawer. How to Draw Dragons is at the bottom of the drawer. The purple character on the cover is dressed immodestly. Your brother will never return this book. We see Azrael is into the hot female dragons. Ooh, baby. Then I go flush the toilet. It's a toilet to flush it. Yes. It's not a proper Deltarune playthrough if we don't flush the toilet. Harder. It's a toilet flush. Yes. Afterwards, I rush to my mom's car, but still end up late for class. Alphys asks for reading volunteers, but before Noelle could step up, Birdly shuts her down, climbs onto his desk, and starts reading from the book. His boring reading puts me to sleep. Then I wake up alone with Alphys, who asks if I'm okay. The computer wallpaper is updated. The buff embracing heroes are now edited to be 4 inches apart. Was it too affectionate and intimate for the classroom? There's dialogue about proper distancing at the school dance. Oh, you wonder if your mother had some influence on this change? Uh-oh, Goat Mama caught you with your flirty anime hunk boys. Chris, this whole partner thing, you didn't lose sleep over it, did you? Actually, my sleep quality increased. Huh? Chris, that's, good, I think. So maybe you were just staying up late talking to Azrael online again? No, I was staying up late shoving my face in pie. Wait, you can't do that, right? I hope the internet gets fixed soon. I don't have internet! What? How am I supposed to look up Bad Dragon? I leave to find Susie obsessing over what happened in the dark world before immediately dragging me over to the supply closet. But before Susie can open the door to see if the dark world was real, Noelle shows up and awkwardly asks if Susie could join her and Birdly for project research. Since Susie really wants to check the dark world, I help her out by saying we're too busy committing crimes. Susie happily plays along, saying we're going to jail forever. Then Noelle tells us to have fun before gifting Susie a lunchbox full of chalk. Then Susie angrily realizes that Noelle had the teacher's chalk the whole time before wondering why Noelle would want her, the class failure, to join her for homework. Just when Susie's about to realize that Noelle likes her, she instead thinks that Noelle knows about our dark world forms. No! That's not it at all! She loves you, you derp! Well, with no time to waste, we open the door and jump in, transforming into our dark forms and landing back into the dark world. Castletown looks just like we remember, and even Rousey is here, excited to have his only friends back. But speaking of friends, Lancer and the other Darkners are missing, so Rousey tells me to go back to the old classroom and gather everything on the ground, then bring it back here. I could hug it when no one's like, no, you did not hug the dummy. You won't take the path of fluffiness any longer. No, I'm sorry. I submit to the fluffiness. I need the power of fluffy boys inside me. Forgive me. Hug the dummy. Yes, fill me with the power of fluffy boys. I'm sorry. You hugged the dummy. Nothing wrong with a little extra fluffiness in your life. Oh yeah. Wondering how he even knows about the classroom, I fly back up into the light world and enter the unused classroom and gather everything into a giant ball. But before heading back, I find my mom talking to Alphys. And how is Chris doing? They're great, Tori. They have not been up to anything strange? No, they've been... Uh-oh. They're normal. As I jump back down, the toys turn into sparkles that scatter around the town and transform into the living Darkners. Immediately, Lancer shows up, which excites Susie, but even though the buildings here have changed, Card Kingdom is gone. So all the Darkners have to live here in Castle Town now. But Rousey is okay with this and even encourages me to spare more Darkners to recruit them to our town. He even has a surprise to show us at his castle. Not if I surprise myself first. Last one, there's a fresh and fragrant egg. Fresh and fragrant does sound pretty nice. I like it when you're fragrant and fresh. Though first I check the bakery and find mustachioed Lancer giving free Lancer cookies. I now pronounce you cookie and wife. I'm not married to a cookie! I'm gonna eat it! Fix us. I just want to get pounded. Hammer me. Pound me. Your body's a weapon too. You must take care of it from time to time. Yeah, whatever you say. Just pound me already. Hoo-ha! Let's do my technique. Yeah, hammered. Hammered harder. Yeah. Malleus the Smith also allows us to make a double D burger, which I can eat twice, then fuse 2 amber cards together to make a silver card which has double defense and earns more money from battles. At the save point, I can see all the Chapter 1 Darkners I fought have been automatically recruited. Then a Rudin somehow welcomes me to Garotown, making me wonder where they heard my my name. I just noticed your sword is longer than his sword. Oh, we know who's the top in this relationship. Ooh la la. So I enter the party dojo and find Clover in their bed along with a puzzle darkener. Hole. Oh yeah, we love talking about holes. We reached our monthly funding goal, yeah, of $1D. But I guess it just takes 1D to fill a hole. After they advised me that big things only hurt a little inside, I take my pride and learn the size by trying out the battle challenges. First, I take Jigsaw Joe's spare challenge for his life savings, then check him to see that I can beat him up to get his savings anyway. He immediately panics, saying not to do that, so as tempted as I am, I instead shave his stubble and have Ralsei spare him on the same turn to earn his massive life savings of $1D. Since Gray's Challenge 1 rewards $100, I immediately sign up and have to carefully dodge Jigsaw's spinning jigsaw pieces close enough to build TP. After easily winning, I take 100 Ds, then rematch Clover. The fight is similar to Chapter 1's, but now after dodging their ball swarm, my acts give me limited time to choose a topic they like. I guessed the first two right, but I'm wrong about 4-leaf clover. I quickly figure it out as sports and also learn that they like holes, then spare them, winning me the club sandwich. With no challenges left, I head back outside, then enter the cafe, surprised to find the baker here. Apparently, since someone else already works the bakery, Top Chef is stuck here in the cafe just to make me a new spin cake once I use the one I have. Finally, I check out the shop and find Sham again, who notices the shadow crystal I won from beating Jevil. They quickly take it from me, then tell me to defeat more strong bosses like Jevil to find even more crystals and bring them here so they can make me something incredible. Sadly, Sham's items haven't improved since Chapter 1, but using all the Ds I took, I buy and fuse lots of dark burgers and amber cars to boost my team's armor and healing. Once we're stocked up, I check out Ralsei's castle and find his giant witch's cauldron. Apparently that's where he cooks, so he quickly shoots up a cake for us, but Susie catches and devours the whole thing for herself. Apparently downstairs is where bad guys live, and I find cute little C-Round defending the jail, which has King trapped in a hamster cage. He asks if I'm here to humiliate him, but I say no. Ralsei offers to let him go if he'll change his ways, but apparently he'd prefer to rot in prison. Though just as we walk away, he asks if his son is doing okay. But Susie quickly calls out that King was about to throw his son off a cliff. Though King insists that he wasn't actually going to do it, and even if he did, his son would just bounce. So we leave him behind, then head upstairs for Ralsei to surprise us with our own rooms. I check my room first and find the Deltarune insignia on the floor, a stand for Ralsei's manual, and even some moss in the corner. Since Susie's jealous of my moss, we check out her room next, which shocks her since she's surprised to have her own room for once. Man, you're a real weenie, you know that? We're gonna have to add that to the list of Ralsei titles. What is it, like chocolate egg, sweet pea, toothpaste, dad? Now you're a weenie! Then we head out and check Lancer's room, which is exactly the same as before. Only Lancer is surprised to have his own bed now because his bed used to be for his bike. Since we're finished upstairs, I head back outside and buy then fuse more burgers before heading for the exit. But then Susie lets slip that we have a project to do. Susie, Chris, you ought to do it right away. School's important. I banish you from this kingdom until you start your project. So no fluffy boy weenie time until I do my project. That is most unfortunate. But before we leave, Lancer shows up and joins us by spinning into my inventory. Fear not, I too shall assist it. No, please, I don't have enough space inside of me. You can't enter me too. Aha, quite. We as a team A are good. No, we're good without you. How did he enter me too? He was even bigger than I am. What? You? What are you doing here? I will also join. Stop it. Move away. Chris, run. The original Starwalker became a key item. It's just a party inside of me now. They're like active and animated in my inventory. That's adorable. Don't shake the butt at the screen. How dare you? Disrespectful. Before anyone else can squeeze in, Ralsei wishes me good luck, then Susie and I return to the light world. I tell Susie we should do our project at the library, so she goes on ahead. Then I notice I'm now carrying two cards, the Jack of Spades and the Rules card. Realizing this is Lancer and Rules, I head out of the school and find Undyne bench pressing a car right next to a massive traffic jam. Apparently a little dog drove a toy car into the middle of the street and started doing donuts, causing all the cars to jam up. Since the jam blocks every path beyond the library, I head inside and find Susie, but no one else is around. So Susie gives up and wants to game in the computer lab, but as she opens the door, there's nothing but pure darkness inside. Realizing it's another dark world and that there must be another fountain to seal, we dive straight in. This world is much more green, and while Lancer and Starwalker are still in my inventory, Rules card apparently jumped out. So I slide down and find a shaking pink humanoid darkener who's terrified of the wires. Sure enough, after another slide, the wires drop electrical waves that charge towards me. Thankfully, I avoid them all, then find two more shaking darkeners saying something happened to everyone and to help save them. Then just a bit further, I suddenly find Noelle begging for help. She's surprised to see us and warns us to get away before suddenly getting trapped in a cage that flies off with her. Then a laughing lady rises on her rocket chair and reveals herself as queen. Why the capture? What is that face, Susie? Apparently she's a computer and wants to turn Noelle into her servant to help her with world domination. She also might turn Noelle's face into a robot just because it's cool. You wanna fight, loser? again? Yes! Yes already, yes! Oh, then bye! Wait! A gosh dang second! Those suddenly wires latch onto those terrified pinkies and hypnotize them into dangerous beasts, starting a fight. They're already tired, but since Ralsei isn't here, I have no way to pacify them. After carefully squeezing between their electric balls and finger lasers, I jiggle my body to loosen a wire. Then I have Susie toss me into the wires and manage to hit both, loosening the wires and allowing me to spare and partially recruit the werewires. You won, you got 0 speed, $249 D! All the D's! However, another pair of werewires appear, but this time they're instantly pacified as somehow Ralsei is here. Apparently he felt a dark presence and hurried over to help us seal the fountain. Still confused how he even got here, I head right and slide down while some kind of flying DJ attacks me with falling pellets of light. I manage to dodge most of them and reach the bottom, then discover a shining city in the distance. Moving on through the cyber world, I run into another pair of werewires and have Susie throw me again and again until they're loose enough to be spared. Then we hop into a teacup ride and I quickly slide into the arrows to boost us to the top. Unfortunately, flying DJ is up ahead, dropping explosive pellets of light again, so I carefully step between them and ride teacup after teacup until I make it to the top. Once we're there, Ralsei finds a cyberpedia and writes in an article explaining that if I defeat enemies with violence, I'll permanently lose the ability to recruit them. When checking the lower side, I'm suddenly ambushed by 2 task cats. Apparently, they're stray cats in need of assignments who quickly chuck balls of yarn at me. Oh my gosh, stop throwing yarn at me! So I pet the cats and dodge their meowing lasers, then spare both to make progress on recruiting them. Then suddenly in the next room, I find Queen telling Noelle she'll free her if Noelle agrees to being a cool peon. Well, it won't be cool. She lies. There's nothing cool about being a peon. It sounds like you're being peed on. What's cool about that? Noelle is terrified and we rush in to help her, but Queen quickly has her cage flown away. Apparently she needs Noelle to be a willing servant for her world domination to succeed. So she thinks we could encourage Noelle to give in, but of course we say no, so she activates Plan B. Suddenly a butler falls from above and catches a fancy dish that spits out a giant arcade game. Apparently Queen plans to humiliate us in this game, making us so depressed that we'll have to serve her. Since I'm good at games, my friends volunteer me for the challenge, but I can't reach the controls. Apparently that was Queen's plan all along, as she laughs at my failure. But then suddenly Ralsei helps by copying Lancer's stool form and Susie grabs my arms. Let's go! Wait, does that mean we're both gonna be standing on Ralsei? Aren't we gonna like break his back? Oh my gosh! The battle begins and it's punch out against Queen as I dodge her punches and fight back with my own. After dodging her kicks, ducking under her wheels, and even punching one out of the air, I finish her off for an explosive victory. But instead of being upset, she laughs and rewards us with an only 50% chance of our faces being reprogrammed if we serve her. Curious, I choose to flourish under her warm bosom, which makes Ralsei blush. Oh yeah, you like the bosom, don't you, Ralsei? It means to... But Susie still says no, so Queen runs away. Before I chase her, I head back to the other side path and find a puzzle where I have to spell apple by walking over the right letters. Spelling it wrong launches me back to the start, but completing the puzzle lets us pass through. Then inside the treasure chest, I find the fiber scarf weapon for Ralsei, but this red wacka named Newbert claims it's his, though he'll let us borrow it forever. After standing really close to the fluffy boy to make him blush, I finally follow Queen's path to find a couple of DJ Darkners selling CD bagels. Why is it round dough is always so overpriced? The hole is expensive, but there's nothing in the hole. Why would we pay for the hole? Fill it up. The left one is selling them for a whopping 400 dark dollars each, so I say no, then try the right one. Wanna buy a bagel? Only $80. KK, no, it's 400. 400. Got it. Wanna buy 400 bagels? Only $80. Wait, what? Lifetime supply of bagel, 400. You were crushed under the weight of 400 bagels and defeated instantly. What? I didn't say drop them all on me all at once. But actually, I just can't carry that many, so I buy one, then head right on up to meet the hacker. He'll join my city if I find 3 blue check marks, so I carefully dodge more light pellets and head down to battle another pair of tasks. Once I spare them, I find a chest with a glow wrist and a blue check mark inside. Why are you stuck in there shaking your leg with your thick butt? It seems to be stuck. Yo, Step Chris, help me out. I'm stuck in the task manager box. Oh no. Oh yeah. Then back to the upper path, I run into 2 Virokun. The sick viruses attack me with swarming arrows that combine into chasing minions. Everyone treated the enemy with tender loving care. Oh, look at these sprites! I spare the both of them, then find another spelling puzzle, but this time I need to spell agree to all. Thank you for agreeing to this peon release form. I was not! Now you are all legally my minions. I'm not your minion! And I can use your likeness for funny statues. What? You'd better not use my face to promote any bad products. Then we head back to explore the unlocked northern path. The bagel sellers stand between 3 teacup plates, so I ride the middle one to the top for a chest with a blue check mark. The left ride leads to another puzzle room where I need to spell Gias Felfabreber. So I walk across all the needed letters for Icy to show up and reward me with the last blue check mark. Having all 3, I head back to the hacker for him to agree to join my city, then turn my check marks into a fireworks show with our faces. Finally, I head back to the cup rides and take the right one all the way to the top. To the right is the pellet shooting DJ, but he baits me onto a lift where he swarms me with more light pellets. I manage to dodge them all, then corner the DJ who loses his flying ride. Don't tell me you haven't heard of the sweet Captain Cakes. There is nothing cakey about you, unless you want to turn around and show us. He's part of the last resistance against Queen along with his 2 fellow DJs. Bagel salesman! Rip-off artist! $400 for a bagel! With the 3 of them here, they attack us. Checking them out reveals that none of them are dancing, so we dance with Sweet to get him in the groove, then dodge the trio's notes and balls attack. As long as they don't attack me with dubstep, we should be fine. That is my weakness. But they are trying to throw balls at me, which is not acceptable. Then I dance with the silly KK to get him lost in the groove, but after we avoid the next attack, Sweet stops dancing. Rousey encourages me to keep trying, so I dance with Cap'n, and sure enough, he dances along, but after their next attack, KK stops dancing. After trying again with Sweet, which gets Cap'n to stop, Susie gets fed up and decides to dance on her own. Happy feet, dumb butt! Oh god. Susie forces Rousey to learn our actions so both can now act without my guidance. I can dance with Sweet while Susie dances with KK and Rousey dances with Cap'n. This gets everyone dancing together at the same time, which calms down the DJs winning the fight. But the DJs think they've won and converted us to the good side, so they tell us to meet them at their shop. After sliding down and enjoying another face fireworks show, we meet them at their shop. The trio used to handle Cyber City's sound until Queen arrived, so they opened the shop to fund their musical rebellion. After giving me a taste of their music, they reveal that Queen actually used to be nice until the night and dark fountain showed up. So I buy a mecha saber for myself and an auto axe for Susie, then put on the stronger weapons. To the right, I find a chest with a tension bit, then enter a room with Viravira-kun turrets shooting arrows at me. Their arrows trigger bomb and demon graphics to attack me, so I bait their shots into a key graphic to open the exit and a chest graphic to give me a revivement. Suddenly we jump onto a teacup ride and I have to slide into clusters of arrows like normal, but it chains into another teacup ride and another until we reach the top. Since I collected all 70 arrows, I'm rewarded with the Ragger 2 scarf for Rousey, but since the dainty scarf is better for healing, I keep it on, then proceed into a strange building. Suddenly we all emerge outside on roller coasters along a track while Queen flies in. She's had enough of us, so she calls her cages to capture us, but they completely miss. Calling the miss a tactical calibration, she then summons Noelle forward, but the flustered reindeer just has awkward small talk with her crush, Susie, frustrating Queen. Okay, this isn't working. Bring in the next guy. Wait, no, get her back! No! What? Burley! Apparently Queen didn't even ask him to serve her, but now Birdley is working with Queen to take over the world. He offers to let me join in exchange for being allowed to scrub their royal toilet. Of course I say no, so he pulls out his energy halberd and the battle begins. He attacks me with swarms of tornadoes, so I have my whole team ram into his coaster, then he makes fun of me for being dumber than him. To make things worse, he summons his A+ and launches them at me to slice me. Unfortunately, Rousey takes a paper cut, so I just have Susie and I ram into Birdley while Rousey magically heals himself. Then Birdley's halberd fires a string of big arrows that leave smaller arrows behind to attack sideways. But we just keep ramming Birdley again and again until he's smoking from behind. Ha! Go ahead, bump me, you bump berry. Oh, you want to get bumped that bad? I'm gonna ram you so hard. With just one more round of bumps, Birdley's coaster explodes, sending him flying. My queen, save me. Bye-bye. In a minute, dear. Then Queen reveals to us that the roller coaster track is unfinished. Suddenly we launch off the edge and crash into a big garbage pile that thankfully breaks our fall. Rousey and I jump down safely, but Susie gets a bit cocky and slips to the ground, injuring her leg. She insists she's alright, even though she obviously isn't, so Rousey approaches her and magically heals her leg. Impressed by his healing, she asks him how he does it, then Rousey offers to teach her. Susie likes that idea, but Rousey will teach her later. It's a trash bag that looks like an eggplant. You did not put eggplants in Deltarune! What? I literally cannot play any game without getting away from eggplants! The next room branches off into two paths, so Rousey thinks we should split up and asks who I want to go with. But when I choose Rousey, Susie gets upset and drags Rousey off with her, leaving me all alone. What do you mean traffic code's blocking my path? Why are they squeaky? No longer having the power of fluffy boys or mean girls with me, I press on into a busy street and dodge incoming traffic to make it across. The next cars are way too fast though, so I push the pedestrian button, which causes the cars to sprout legs to run instead of drive, slowing them down. A large event is going to happen in the streets later. We were told to make room for something big. Better not have been a big eggplant. Once I'm across, I find a trash can with 20 Ds inside. Wait, to my money hole. Wait, why is it called money hole? Then I see Noelle and walk towards her, but I'm intercepted by pop-ups. They want me to click on them, so I dodge their bird attacks, then click on a pop-up, which creates another one. You just kept clicking and clicking on ads. Oh my gosh. The pop-ups crashed. What? That's a faster way to win! Finally, I catch up to Noelle, but Queen is coming, so Noelle quickly hides. Queen is searching for Noelle, then sees me and realizes I'm all alone like her. So she wants to form a truce, but suddenly Birdley calls out for her. Oh no, don't let him find me. No way. Oh, look at Noelle looking up those. Oh gosh, Noelle, what are you looking at? Noelle, what do you see between her legs? Once Birdly finds me and realizes I'm alone, he laughs at me thinking my friends abandoned me. But when I point out that Queen and Noelle aren't with him either, he gets defensive, claiming that they're waiting for him. Though eventually he gives in and offers a truce till we find our friends. Who the beep said you could double truces? I don't want a truce at all! What do you mean double truces? I don't even want single truces! Huh? Did you hear something? Honk honk? No, it's just the sounds of the city. Oh, okay. You're supposed to be smart. It's talking back to you. You're just like, oh, okay, just gonna accept it. Once he's gone, Queen jumps in, then tells me to distract the annoying Birdly and to find Noelle. Once Queen's gone, Noelle slowly walks out and asks if I could truce with her too, so I say of course, then she joins my party. When passing through the next room, I step on a switch that releases mice towards Noelle, who screams and jumps back to the entrance. Since her shrieks are too funny, I keep stepping onto the switch to send the mice towards her and savor her screams. Once I've had my fill, I move the block in the mice's way to direct their path into the hole. With the mice gone, Noelle follows me down towards a Virovirokun and the battle begins. But Noelle is extremely confused, apparently never having been in a battle before. So the virus and I explain to her how battles work, then she agrees to act with me and puts on the doctor outfit but spills her coffee. Thankfully this still works for sparing the virus, so we claim our Ds, then run into a pair of ambulances. The siren syringe heads try running over me, so I have Noelle show them hospitality, then we spare them one by one. After exploring the left alley for a pink ribbon, we head right into another busy street and push the buttons so we can safely cross. The next street has different colored cars, so I press all 3 buttons at just the right times to stop all 3 colors, leaving a gap for us to pass through. Down the next room, there's a laser blocking the way, so I stand on a switch for Noelle to pass so she can stand on the other to disable the laser. But as we reach the next room, we hear Queen, so Noelle quickly runs and hides. Apparently Queen's had a bit too much battery acid to drink and asks me if it's bad to make everyone happy by being an evil villain. Then she invites me to play Punch-Out with her again, but suddenly a giant golden Birdly statue falls and crushes the machine. What the heck is this? Then Birdly spirals in, excited to show the statue to Queen. It's how do I put this? Very smart, like, so smart you are. I love tolerating you. Excited to plan this new world where he has nipples, he marches off while Queen runs the other way, right past Noelle, who's disguised with a cardboard box. Once Queen's gone, Noelle rejoins me and then trips over Birdly's statue, so she decides to take the box off. After she laughs at the statue, I get lost in its features. You became lost to the craftsmanship. No! I'm not getting lost in the craftsmanship! That would never happen! Finally, I move on and find the 3 DJs again who play Noelle some Christmas music. In the next room, I head down to a blue Addison who gives me a free shoe sample on a toothpick. But when I check my inventory, I see that Lancer already ate it. The pink Addison next door sells teas flavored after us, so I buy Noelle tea and Chris tea, then spare a pair of viruses. The chest they guarded has a bounce blade inside, which does less damage, but raises my defense by 1. Since I'm not attacking at all, I happily switch to that sword, then head right to a mannequin. The nearby yellow Addison is selling clothing for 300D, so I buy it, but they actually sold me the whole mannequin. Somehow I can wear it anyway, though it has 0 stats aside from a mystery triple question mark modifier. Finally, to the right, there's another busy street, so I press the first switch to stop the red cars, then press the second switch to stop the yellow cars. I check a lower path first and find a sneaky left walkway with flashing caution signs. Once I'm through, Noelle disappears, but I follow the path to the right. What? You stop! Tommy! What? He ran over my game over too! I find Moss in the corner, earning me the Moss Finder title. And even though Noelle notices how happy I am and gets weirded out, she earns the Moss Neutral title. Since there's also tree graffiti mentioning the room between, I exit and enter the room again and again until I finally reach the secret area. At the end of the path is a tree like before with a man behind it. He asks if he's happy to see me, so I say yes and receive an egg. Then suddenly he's gone, so I head back to Noelle and rush past the cars to reach the upper right room. There's an electric wall ahead, so I rearrange the rotation tiles to direct the mice into the in-hole, but the laser's still there. Confused, Noelle checks out the in-hole. Can I send more mice? I made her jump the laser and land on the switch. In the next room, I approach some cheese, then Noelle asks if I'm going to touch it, and I say yes. But once I rub the cheese, a mouse appears and actually battles us. Suddenly, my soul is surrounded by holes with giant mice running around trying to trample me. I try Noelle's fear act, but she just calls the mouse terrifying, which makes it tired. Then with Noelle, I line up a trap with the mouse and capture it for an easy spare. But sadly, the cheese was destroyed, so I press on, then reach a maze made out of even more cheese. Unfortunately, I bump into the very first one, which alerts a pair of mouse to battle battle us. But once I trap and spare them, the entire cheese maze gets completely destroyed. Then further down, I discover a strange puzzle room with a gap. So Noelle steps onto a question mark switch, but all that does is trap her on a platform that's about to fall. So I quickly grab the controls and position the tiles to direct the mouse into Noelle, launching her to the next platform. But then that platform starts to fall too, so I quickly work on the next mouse path. Though suddenly Birdly shows up to make fun of me while I scare Noelle onto platform after platform. He's very distracting and annoying, plus the puzzles keep getting harder, so eventually I take too long and Noelle falls. But thankfully a pile of mouse carry her back to safety and I finish the puzzles, spelling I love mouse. Though Birdly is shocked that I solved the puzzles and says I just got lucky, then runs off. But thankfully Noelle is safe now and apparently not afraid of mice anymore, so we head to the right. He dug through the trash and found 20 bucks. Let's go! 20 dark dollars added to your money hole. Oh yeah, we love adding D's to the money hole. All right, what's up? He dug through the trash and found $80. Oh, 4 times as much for the money hole. Then we run into Birdly again, who's shocked to see Noelle with me. He accuses me of forcing Noelle to be on my side, then calls off our truce and pulls out his halberd, starting a battle. I have Noelle try to talk Birdly down, but he just takes it as a compliment. Then he attacks me with swarms of converging tornadoes along with a barrage of sharp A+. Since Noelle got hurt, I act like an idiot to make Birdly feel smart, then have Noelle magically heal herself. But suddenly Birdly summons werewire allies and they all blast me with lasers and spear shots at the same time. So since the werewires are already tired, I drop my IQ points to make Birdly feel smart again, then have Noelle cast Sleep Mist to instantly pacify the werewires. Now that Birdly's alone, I have Noelle act smart to him, which brings him closer to a spare. After playing dumb enough times to stroke Birdly's ego, I eventually defeat him and the battle ends. But he insists he was going easy on us even though he's clearly exhausted, so he tells me to keep training, then completely leaves. To the right is another busy street, but this time the cars are all blocked off by traffic cones. Though suddenly Queen calls out for Noelle, so she quickly puts on her disguise before Queen arrives. But before Queen can ask me where Noelle is, suddenly Birdly calls out for Queen, so we all quickly hide in Queen's car. Once Birdly's gone, we step back out and Queen asks about my disguised friend since she can't recognize her. Though before I can answer, we re-enter the car to look for Noelle, but I'm driving. Queen warns me to avoid the cars, so I carefully drive around them, but suddenly there's a banana in the road. She tells me to get the banana, so I drive over it for some yummy potassium. But then we get stuck in a traffic jam, so Queen tells me to get out and walk around the jam to push a crossing button. But when Noelle wants to join me, Queen says no, so she can stay and listen to all of Queen's mixtape. With no other options, I head down into a dark alley when suddenly a dumpster bursts open and a creepy long-nosed guy slides out. His name is Spamton and he immediately recognizes me as a lightener while mixing his speech with strange phrases, then punching the dumpster. But apparently he has a deal for me to become a Bigshot, though I'll need his hyperlink blocked. And in order to get this mysterious hyperlink blocked, I'll have to show him my soul. Suddenly a battle begins, so I check the salesman to learn that he wants to make me a deal, but I shouldn't give him my money. Then his head inflates and he spits out random advertisement words that corner my soul. Surviving the attack, I try the deal act and he offers me a very special deal. So I say I'm interested, which makes him happy, then he sucks deadly dollar signs towards himself that I have to dodge around. Now I try another deal, but he wants my generosity, though I don't give him money. Somehow he likes this, and when I start another deal, he reveals he's not in it for the money, but rather for the freedom to make his own choices. He tells me to take the deal, so I accept, bringing him closer to a spare. But suddenly he spits out mini Spamtons that bounce around the ceiling and floor while jumping towards me. Nearly dead, I try a heal deal which heals me and starts a deal where Spamton tries to sell me insurance. But I make the mistake of buying it, which pointlessly loses me money, then he spits out even more minions at me. Injured again, I press F1 and suddenly a tiny Spamton angel appears and pats my head to heal me. Spamton tries to sell me insurance again, but this time I say no, which he somehow likes. Now he wants my account details and the number on the back to send me free Chromer. Of course I say no, which actually impresses him, then he offers me the final deal. Once I accept, I successfully spare him, winning me the fight, but costing me 13 Ds. Then Spamton tells me to meet him at his store in the trash area, but to come alone. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more hyperlink blocked. You heard him, chat. Like and subscribe for more hyperlink blocked. I follow his path out and push the pedestrian button to clear up the traffic so Queen can drive up. She tells me to get in, so I enter inside, then drive us across a bridge. Apparently Queen is worried about Noelle's safety and wants to turn her into Queen's servant, not because Noelle is weak, but rather because she's strong. But before Queen can explain, she tells me to stop the car and we rush out just before the car explodes. Now Queen wants to split up to find Noelle, so she gives me her mixtape for me to show Noelle, then runs off. Since Noelle's safe, she takes off her disguise, but when I check my inventory for Queen's mixtape, apparently Lancer ate it. So we head right and reach another puzzle, but this time Noelle jumps over the cones to press the switch, disabling my laser. But now she's stuck, so I press the next switch to open her path, and we alternate removing each other's lasers while she reminisces about our childhood. Once we're through and reach the next room, we hear Queen laughing, so Noelle quickly puts on her disguise and hides behind some bottles. But once Queen arrives, she immediately throws a ball at those bottles, revealing the disguised Noelle. She gives Queen her prize, which Queen then gives to me before running off. Suddenly, Ralsei and Susie show up, then Susie shows off her new attack, which is a very slow green projectile that heals me 2 HP. But now Ralsei asks about the gift I'm holding, so I decide to give it to him. The blushy boy is touched since he's never gotten a gift before and now wants to win one from me too. So he asks for a ball from the disguised Noelle, then throws it at her, completely removing her disguise. Susie is shocked to see her and is glad she's okay until Susie remembers that Noelle is on Queen's side. But I tell Susie that we have a truce, then Noelle lies, claiming I also said she could join the team and that she should be behind Susie. Then as the blushy Noelle gets to be close to her crush, suddenly the original Starwalker follows in the back. But he leaves us in the next room as the rest of us climb the stairs. At the top, Noelle stands on a switch to disable a laser for us, then we find a sign near a chest saying where 3 or 1, place 1 to 3. Ralsei suggests all 3 of us should get in a teacup, so I head back and try his idea, then hear a clicking sound. Sure enough, the chest unlocked, but all that's inside is a bunch of balloons. Suddenly to the right, I run into a couple of ambulances and Susie wants to show her ultimate healing. Apparently it costs a massive 100% tension point, so we guard again and again to fill the meter, then I try out her healing. Yet with all that energy, she still only heals 2 HP, and even the enemies make fun of her. So I spare them both and press the switch for more face fireworks, then head back to pick up Noelle and continue on. The next room has fireworks dangerously exploding towards me, so I carefully squeeze between their balls until I reach some switches and laser pop balloons. But one of them drops cheese, and when I touch it, suddenly a battle with 3 mice begins. Susie's idea is to call in a cat to deal with the mouse, but now I have to battle the task cat instead. But thanks to Ralsei's soft voice, we easily spare them all, then head right to pick up a bucket. Now I can catch mice and move them to holes to extend bridges. But after extending another bridge, now I need to catch 20 mice. So we work together with Noelle releasing the mice while Susie and Ralsei press the laser switch so I can catch the mice. Once I catch all 20, I deliver them to the bridge hole and cross over to put away my bucket. Finally, we reach the entrance to Queen's mansion, but suddenly Queen appears and tells Noelle to come. I just say no! N-O! It's not that hard! Since Noelle hesitates, Queen threatens to dunk Birdly in the acid river if Noelle doesn't give in. So Noelle reluctantly leaves us for Queen to save Birdly, but suddenly the cyber chicken shows up. But before Noelle can get away, Queen summons a cage to capture her and fly off. Then Queen considers turning Noelle's face into a robot one, which upsets Birdly since she promised not to do that if he served her. Though she admits she lied, then has us all caged and flown off to our rooms. Well, all of us except Ralsei, who's now alone and at Queen's mercy. As for us, we're still caged, but now in our own rooms filled with items from our internet search results. Susie says we need to get out, then suddenly we hear a high-pitched scream, which she thinks is Ralsei. Worried for his safety, I quickly check my key items and activate Lancer, whose card falls to the ground as he spins back to normal form. I was simply relaxing in Chris's spacious pencil. No relaxing in my hole! And don't call it spacious, I'm not thick! Yes, and I saw it all. Oh no, don't talk about what you saw. But now he climbs onto the keyboard and spams a bunch of L's, which overloads the computer and turns off our cages. Though once we regroup outside, Lancer starts coughing and falls over, so Susie tries her ultimate heal. Of course, it doesn't help at all, so Susie picks up and carries Lancer while we look for the real healer, Ralsei. But suddenly Birdly shows up and wants to join us, so Susie reluctantly lets him follow. The next room has a puzzle which Susie asks me to solve, but Birdly tells me to calm my thighs and let him solve it. Though I just ignore him and rotate the shadows to fill the middle outline, which solves the puzzle. Then Susie makes fun of Birdly since I solved the puzzle before him, but he claims he already knew the answer and let me solve it, so Susie tells him to solve the next one. But even though it's just another shadow puzzle, he struggles to solve it, so I just complete it myself. This time Birdly gets upset and says I just got lucky, so insists on solving the next one himself. But of course we follow him and find him struggling on another shadow puzzle, so Susie suggests filling the square by piling the shadows in the corners. Sure enough, Susie's idea of filling up the square solves the puzzle, which shocks Birdly as Susie laughs at his failure. Then surprisingly, he admits that he's not actually smart and never was. Apparently as a kid, nobody really cared about him until Noelle got nervous in their spelling bee, which made him win. Then all of a sudden, people praised him for his intelligence and he loved it. But the only way he could stay #1 year after year was by Noelle helping him study, since she's the real smart one. Don't cry, chicken nugget man. Though before Susie can say she doesn't like him either way, Birdly asks if she'd accept him if he's dumb, and she says yes, since we're stuck with him. But instead of being insulted, he starts to really like Susie and decides to be okay with making mistakes. So they all leave to the right and I follow behind, reaching a dining hall and catching up to Susie. Suddenly we hear that same scream, and sure enough, Ralsei is here, but it was actually the butlers screaming since they like his new outfit. Apparently Queen made Ralsei into one of her butlers, and Susie quickly asks Ralsei to heal Lancer. But then Ralsei reveals that not even he can heal this. Suddenly Lancer turns to stone, and Ralsei explains that if a Darkner from one world enters another world, they might not belong there. Thankfully, we can save Lancer if we bring him back to Castletown, so that means we have to defeat Queen. Suddenly, Birdly shows up and wants to beat Queen as well, but he needs me to distract her and Susie to help Noelle escape so we can all defeat Queen together. Susie agrees with this plan, but tells Ralsei to take off the outfit so he spins back to his normal look. But before moving on, I push Lancer's statue towards a dining table so he can enjoy some spaghetti. Then in the next room, I save it a pair of legs. Looking at these legs fills you with with a certain power. Oh yeah, them legs, look at them legs. I enter the cafe and meet Queen's head butler, Swatch. Apparently he's selling butt juice, which is short for butler juice, but he's also selling royal pins, which massively raise defense by 3. Even though they cost $1,000 each, I've got plenty of Ds in me, so I buy 5 pins for us all. Then remembering Spamton, I take the shortcut door back to the trash zone and head all the way left to enter his shop alone. Sure enough, Spamton's there and now I can buy or buy more. He tells me that deep in Queen's mansion there's a heaven-piercing new body that will make me and him big. But first I need to buy his keygen to unlock the basement and get the empty disc. Though his prices fluctuate wildly, so I wait patiently then snag the keygen for 37 chromer. I also buy an S potion, the big one, and a Bigshot bow tie, which supposedly are very powerful. But once I check them outside, I realize I got scammed, as the Bigshot bow tie is actually a frayed bow tie raising defense by only 1, and the big one is actually a broken sword which I can't even use. Disappointed, I head back to Queen's mansion then progress to the right for Queen to notice our escape. She warns me to keep an eye on her paintings, and sure enough, they start breathing fire at me. So I carefully weave between the flames, then flip a fire background painting and a red one for a revivement and to open the path forward. Then in the next room, Queen tells me to respect her pottery, so I immediately smash her pot, which summons angry sweeping butlers who attack me. One swatchling turns blue while the other stays red, then the blue one cannonballs onto me while the red one swarms me with birds. So I warmify the blue one to change their color to yellow, then they start attacking me with opening platters instead. Thankfully, one more warmify changes their color to red, which matches the other's color, letting us spare them both. Then in the next room, there are way more pots that I immediately smash, which angers a swatchling into attacking. Like before, I warmify the blue one to match the other 2 reds for easy spares, then proceed to the next area. Here, there are 4 paintings of task cats, each with different numbers and labels. It seems pointless until I reach a lady with a whip who asks me to help organize the paintings. I say yes, then she asks me which painting's name is first alphabetically. I say left, which she confirms is correct, but then she asks me which painting's name is third alphabetically. I choose bottom, which thankfully is correct again, though lastly she asks me which painting is fourth. I don't remember this one, so I guess bottom, but apparently that's wrong, so now she attacks me. She whips at my soul while her task cats toss balls of yarn at me, so I have Ralsei's soft voice speak to her cat so Susie can spare one. Next, we ask Task Manager to show us orders, so she tells us which letter to slide to, and I quickly move there to avoid getting zapped. Then after sparing her other cat and asking for more demonstrations of order, I spare the Task Manager, winning the fight. Somehow in the next room is a busy street, so I press the pedestrian button and run to each next one to make it past the traffic for mice to smack the cars away. Then while interacting with everything in the next room, I accidentally find a secret switch which opens a hidden path. Below is another switch which opens a shortcut to the cafe area, and my keygen unlocks the way to the basement. But before I go down, I tell Ralsei and Susie to stay behind, then descend alone into the dark and gloomy basement. Come on, Susie, give me my glasses back.
Oh, look at me. I'm a big dweeb that loves homework.
The ride is blocked off, so I head left and carefully dodge past snappy extendo plugs to reach a dead end. But when I try to leave, the entrance is now blocked, so I head left again and suddenly it's open with a teacup ride. Confused, I ride it down, then press a switch to power down a force field. But when I take the ride back up, suddenly I'm attacked by spiraling energy beams which quickly destroy my health for my first game over. My second try almost ends in another death as I barely survive with 5 HP. Nearly dead, I extra carefully dodge the attacking plugs, then heal at the save point before exploring the unlocked path to the right. Sure enough, I find a long corridor with an old robot at the end and take out its empty disc. Finally, I head back to my friends, then return to Spamton, who's excited I got the disc. He tells me to give it to him so he can transfer his hyperlink blocked, then I'll need to put the disc back into the robot. So I give him the disc and he starts the transfer, which closes down his shop. Now with a loaded disc, I head back to Queen's basement and all the way to the robot, then shove the disc inside, but nothing seems to happen. Confused, I try to leave, then suddenly a Shadowbot slams down and pushes me back, revealing himself as Spamton. Apparently the transfer worked and now he's bigger than ever, but it's not enough as he's still bound by strings. So now he pushes me back, cornering me with his arm cannon to steal my soul, thinking it'll set him free. But just before the end, Susie root busters Spamton off of me and saves my life. Now both Susie and Ralsei are here, so Spamton knocks us into roller coasters that slide toward his blue head's attack. But before we perish, my soul turns yellow and aims sideways so I can shoot and destroy all the heads, starting the battle. It's time to be a big shot, so I start slowly snapping Spamton's wires, then shooting down his charging heads. We cut more of his wires and dodge through indestructible pillars by shooting the blocking heads while avoiding shooting the bombs. Suddenly Spamton's heart springs out and shoots diamonds at me that I dodge while shooting back. Once I do enough damage, we snap more wires and he gets a phone call which shoots Pipis at me. If I don't destroy them, they explode swarms of Spamton heads at me, so I quickly fire charged shots at the rest, but now Ralsei is very hurt. Needing to heal, I snap wires myself and have Susie try supercharge while Ralsei eats a CD bagel. Now Spamton crawls towards me and shoots with phone hands, but Susie's supercharge helps me quickly fire charged shots to push him back. Though after I snap more wires, his face face starts shooting at me, so I quickly destroy his nose and mouth and snap even more wires. After I destroy his heart, blue heads, and eyes while snapping more wires, eventually he asks if I want to be a big shot, then the screen goes dark. Suddenly he massively slides in and sucks in dollar signs that I need to dodge while shooting back. Then he fires giant Spamton ghosts at me that I carefully squeeze between to survive his ultimate attack. Just one snap later and he's down to a single wire, finally realizing that we're trying to free him. He appreciates my friendship and invites me to cut the final wire, but once I do so, he drops lifelessly to the ground. Back in his normal form and bound again, he gives up, realizing he'll always be just a puppet. But he believes in us, helping us break our own strings by giving us his strength. His strength turns out to be another shadow crystal and the powerful Dealmaker armor, which raises defense and magic by 5 while also increasing money earned from battles by 30%. So I have Ralsei wear it with a Devil's Tail to boost his magic to 18. Finally, it's time to leave, but Susie stops us to talk about what just happened. Ralsei tries to act like it wasn't a big deal, but then Susie asks me if I'm okay, so I say no. Apparently I start yelling, so the fluffy boy gets close to comfort me, then Susie decides to drop the subject and is just glad that I'm alive. Finished in the basement, I head back past the cars and up the stairs to another teacup ride. But now there's energy balls and laser beams in the way, so I carefully dodge around them. Then at the top I find several wigged diners along with a platter that splits into 3. 2 hide a bomb and 1 has the key, so I watch them spin, then choose the key to blow up the door. Inside are more fire-breathing paintings and I carefully avoid their attacks, then activate the red ones to extend new paths. Then to the left is another platter that splits into 5, so I watch them spin, then choose the key again to blow up the bookcase for a shortcut. Back to the paintings, the upper path leads to the kitchen with terrified swatchlings. Turns out they're afraid of mice as 3 of them swirl together and fuse to make a mouse wheel. The battle begins and the cursor follows me, so I just keep moving away from it. Then when we try to trap the mice, it turns out there's way more than 3, but I managed to catch a bunch. Now the cursor chases me again, but the mouse wheel also shoots giant energy balls at me. Though after I catch a lot more mice, suddenly Task Manager shows up to handle things, which spares the wheel. Now the path to the right is unlocked, so I enter inside, which leads to a giant open room. But the doors on the other side are locked, then suddenly Queen fills the room with platters and says one of them has the key. Though after I search 3 of them, suddenly Queen resets the platters, which moves the key. She keeps doing this with every 3 I check, so I look around and notice the bottom right platter is moving. Suddenly the annoying dog is underneath and he rams into the side, then slides under us before charging up into lots of platters. Though now I can control him, so together we destroy the platters until we find the key. But the dog breaks the key, then suddenly aims for the door and we charge on through. After knocking platters and swatchlings aside, we reach the end, then I check the left. Now pots are on wheels, so I carefully weave around them, then enter a side room filled with platters. But when I interact with them, they turn into UFOs that shoot lasers at me. Though I keep interacting with more until the last platter actually reveals a chest with a glow shard inside. Then back outside and further left, I carefully dodge past more fire paintings and reach another teacup ride. Just like before, I have to dodge around lasers, but now there are deadly bouncy balls and suddenly brown liquid balls pour down into our cups. At the top, I find Birdly, who opens a secret passage and tells Susie to follow him while Ralsei and I go distract Queen. But first we check the bathroom and find Birdly's statue shoved into the toilet. No problems here, so we head out and right to find a giant lake of acid. I flip the lever, which summons a swan boat that Ralsei and I hop onto. Then as we sail across the acid, Queen suddenly appears and tells me to get the banana. But Ralsei says I won't do it, so I avoid the banana, then Queen reveals it was all part of her plan for us to become potassium deficient. Then in the next room, our swan gets stuck on a random hand, so we exit into a nearby room to find a puzzle with bridges and houses. Interacting with the houses flips the bridges, so I touch a few to reach the top right room. Here, I push a button which releases mice to a chest, but they get the D for themselves. The mice turn at every available opportunity, so I tap the houses to line up a perfect path to each gray house, then activate the mice to reach each house. This opens the left path, which leads to a lever that I flip to clap 2 hands at the acid. Heading back to our swan, I see that the hand is gone, so we hop back on and sail forward. Chris, hey, Chris, is it strange to say it's nice spending time alone with you like this? I think the fluffy boy is crushing on me. I'm touching the fluffy boy's feelings. Before long, we reach a cluster of houses in our way, then suddenly we hear a voice calling us worms and Rule's card appears. Apparently he wants to defeat us now as a gift to Queen, so she'll make him her ultimate minion. Now beholdeth the form of thou destroyer. What? It's my ducky! He's riding my ducky! So now the battle begins. He explains the rules, and apparently we need to conquer houses, then whoever has the most will win. The enemy ship seems to have fallen in love with yours. What? No! Ducky! No seduction! You must resist him! Suddenly he claims a house and drops boxes on my soul, so I take 4 houses diagonally to try and cut him off. Then he claims 2 more houses and shoots a slow, small duck at me, earning me lots of easy tension points. So I take 3 more houses and trap him in the corner, instantly winning me the game and fight. But apparently he's going to destroy us anyway, though just as he charges charges his attack, he suddenly turns to stone, crashing him to the ground and clearing the way forward. As we sail on, we reach a camera and Rousey wants to pose, so I hug him for the picture, which makes him blush. Finally, we reach land and leave the swan behind, then press onward. Then suddenly Rousey asks me if I'm wondering how Susie's doing, so I say yes and close my eyes, then we see Noelle alone in a bedroom. Suddenly, werewires drop down on her, but Susie rude busters both to save her. Blushy Noelle is touched that her crush saved her, but suddenly she asks what even is this place? I try to have Susie say Dark World, but she completely ignores me and just tells Noelle she's dreaming. So Noelle tells Susie to hit her with the axe to wake her up, but Susie manages to get around this by asking Noelle to hang out. Of course, the blushy Noelle accepts, so they both enter a hard cabin on a Ferris wheel. I try telling Susie to point for hearts to come out, but she doesn't seem to hear me. Then Noelle gushes about how she wishes she could do crazy stuff like Susie does. Noelle also notices that Susie has a tail, but Susie denies it, so Noelle decides to check when she wakes up. Finally, they make it across and Noelle wishes she could dream like this every day, but then Birdly shows up. What is this romantic bird from the heavens? Now that Noelle's safe, Susie jumps down and Birdly apologizes to Noelle for leading her on, even though she never actually loved him. But once he reveals he's now in love with Susie, Noelle starts furiously choking him. Suddenly I'm back with Rousey, then Susie crashes down onto his body and we're all together again. So we head up the stairs and notice a path down, but suddenly a wire attacks. Apparently it absorbed the wire and became stronger, immediately shooting lots of lasers that hard turn towards me. I try being cold to the wire, but it just responds with fast laser spreads and ball throws. Telling it with Susie that we'll beat it up helps a little bit, but once Rousey and I whisper sweetly to it, acts become much stronger. Now being tough helps a lot more, allowing us to spare and recruit the wire. Conveniently, the side path is a shortcut leading to an older shortcut which takes us back to the cafe. So we head back to the top and check out Noelle's room, which has a statue of Susie with an axe that Susie has us steal. We also find a weird icy statue that Susie has me steal from my room, then I check Noelle's bed to keep my bed inspector title. Back outside, I head further right and am attacked by plugs dropping electric waves. So I carefully dodge between the waves, though one catches up to me, then I reach a wide room where Queen is. Queen's confident that Noelle will soon help her take over the world, but Susie reveals that Noelle is safe with Birdly. Though suddenly Queen drops in Birdly attached to a control plug, meaning Noelle isn't safe anymore, so we draw our weapons to attack. Even though Queen is defenseless, we all work together to loosen Birdly's plug, but then Queen makes him attack us with lots of tornadoes. We loosen again, then suddenly I'm in a wine glass filling with dangerous liquid, which forms an acid shield for Queen. Now she's protected and I can't target Birdly, so we toast to trick Queen into sipping from her acid, which damages her shield. But then she tries to step on me, though I avoid her stomps, then group toast again to destroy her shield. Suddenly, Digital Queen heads surround me and explode, launching smaller heads to attack me. But with Queen's shield down, we group loosen Birdly again, then arrows surround me while launching lasers at me. Though after more loosens, Queen fills up her glass again, recharging her shield. Then after more toasts, loosens, and shield destructions, Queen prepares her ultimate move. But the download manages to fail, then errors fill my box and cover me as exploding Queen heads swarm inside. Then finally, after a few more loosens, Birdly escapes his wire and fights alongside us. Oh no, what's that? All four of us fell for that! What was that running animation? Though suddenly, Birdly collapses to the ground. Already absorbed all my succulent energy juices. It sucked him dry! They're not just face huggers, they're face suckers! They suck you! I knew it! As he falls onto his back and Susie gets worried, he says that only a kiss from a beautiful gamer girl can save him. But he was too quiet for Susie to hear him, so he gives up and sits back up while Susie runs on ahead. We leave Birdly behind and catch up to Queen, who reveals that the Roaring Knight thrusted a knife into the ground to create the library dark fountain. So now Queen wants to spread the darkness over the whole world through the Lightner's power of determination by creating a new night through Noelle. Ooh, ouchie mama! We rush to check on Noelle, though suddenly a giant queen mech rises and laughs at us before acid lasering us to the ground. But we don't give up, combining together into our arcade machine form, which Queen slams to knock us off. Susie, are you dancing in air? What is that? Just before we fall to our deaths, suddenly Birdly catches us with his coasters along with the triple DJs plus all our recruits and friends. Using Birdly's statue as a base, everyone combines their powers. And most of all... What? No, don't put that in. That's not useful. That's useless. It's bad. Then as I wait in the street, Queen crashes down to fight us and the battle begins. Finally, I get to attack, so I give Queen a critical punch, then side dodge her own attacks and fight back with more punches. Now she tries to kick me instead, but I side dodge those too and punch her back like before. Suddenly she throws baseballs at me, so I smack them out of the sky, then finish her off with a final punch. But it just makes her mad as now round 2 begins. She kicks at me like before, though now she can double kick, so I carefully dodge her combo combos and punch back. On top of that, now she prepares her cup, then acid splashes me before swarming me with wheels that I need to duck under. Heavily injured, I try out the self-fix which restores 100 HP, then Queen launches swarms of homing missiles at me. Though after a few more punches, I manage to anger Queen again, which starts round 3. Queen's attacks are now extreme as suddenly an army of Queen bots kick charges at me, but I side dodge past all of them, then punish Queen with punches. Then she starts triple kicking me, but I dodge and punch back like before, then try out duck mode. Duck mode engaged, a totally sucking aura fired up. Sucking. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna suck her? Suddenly a totally sucking aura fires up as I punch suck Queen to heal 35 health. But she fights back with fire breath, so I carefully squeeze between the flames and punch her again and again until she charges up her final attack. Suddenly she jumps up and spin kicks down towards me as more clones do the same. After I avoid several kicks, suddenly Queen charges up a giant baseball and throws it down at me, so I punch it back up at her. Overheat activated. Oh yeah, you know you overheat when I suck ya. But just when I think I've won, she jumps up and shoots her rocket fist at me, splitting my mech in half. Victorious, Queen's damaged mech returns to Noelle with the 3 of us clenched in her fist and commands Noelle to stab her pen into the ground to create their dark empire. But Noelle hesitates, so Queen threatens to crush us harder, then suddenly Noelle demands Queen to stop, saying this doesn't make her happy. Surprisingly, Queen admits that maybe she was wrong and tells Noelle to choose what makes her happy before Queen's mech suddenly runs out of power. Seizing the opportunity, Rousey says we can seal the fountain now, but nobody shares his enthusiasm as Noelle suddenly says the dark world isn't so bad. Susie thinks about it then agrees, since here we have friends, adventures, magic, and most importantly, nobody can tell us what to do. Then even Birdley shows up and agrees, charging up his halberd to make a new fountain. But Rousey quickly stops Birdley again and again, warning that he'll bring the roaring. When the light is absorbed by shadow and the fountains fill the sky, massive titans will form and destroy the land. Any surviving darkners will turn to statues, leaving Lightners all alone in this eternal darkness. What is Queen reacting to that? You're supposed to be out of battery. Everyone is shocked since they had no idea and never actually wanted to end the world. So Queen lets us go and Susie congratulates Noelle for standing up to her. But now it's time to leave and Queen wishes us goodbye, though Rousey says there's no need since I can bring her and our recruits with us to live in Castle Town. So Queen deletes the goodbye, then Susie insists to Noelle that she has no tail before we leave to close the fountain. Just like before, my soul rises to the fountain and flashes, then suddenly we all wake up in the computer lab. Noelle thinks it was all a dream and Birdley agrees, then they're shocked to see us. But Susie reminds them that Noelle invited us to their study and Birdley is surprisingly okay with it. Though Birdley's alarm goes off so he gets up and leaves for work. But before Noelle leaves too, she checks if Susie has a tail, which makes Susie very mad, then Noelle runs. Once Susie leaves, I gather up everything in the room then head outside. But Susie's waiting right there and immediately joins behind me, so we head to the hospital to check up on Noelle and her sick dad. Noelle wishes she had healing magic in real life to heal her father, but he insists he's getting better and might even make it to church tomorrow. But then Noelle is surprised to see Susie, and apparently Rudy has heard a lot about her, so Noelle gets embarrassed and runs out. After Rudy jokingly threatens Susie if she hurts Noelle, he reveals that his recovery actually isn't going very well, but he really wants to be there for his daughter. Wishing him the best, we leave the hospital and head back to school to bring the computer lab darkners to Castletown. Queen seems to like it here and thanks us, then we head up to town and somehow Rousey is suddenly back with us. I check my recruits and see that I got all of them, then head to the bakery. Now with my new items, I fuse the pink and white ribbons together to make the twin ribbon, the glow wrist and iron shekel together to make the spike band, plus the Bigshot bow tie and tension bit together to make the tension bow. I wear the twin ribbon and tension bow myself for larger graze area and more tension points, then head to Sham's shop. They notice we found another shadow crystal and hold onto it for us, then warn us that the next secret boss might be impossible to beat unless we have the shadow mantle. But apparently they lost the mantle, so we leave to head to the castle dungeon and check on King. He mocks that we'll soon face someone worse than him, but apparently that's Queen, who we've already defeated, and she shows up to make fun of his water bottle. He gets offended and sucks on the tube, then Queen announces that she will take care of Lancer as his mother. King is surprisingly okay with this, so we leave and exit the dark world and check the south bunker to find Snowy and Monster Kid. But they don't realize we're here, and Snowy rudely calls me a weenie, so Susie angrily stands up for me and kicks between them to scare them away. Then Susie caringly asks if I'm okay, and we head back up to find Alphys next to her broken bike. She's clearly crushing on Undyne, so I head into the police station and warn Undyne about the dark world. But she just laughs at me and bangs her desk so hard that it splits in half and the jail key launches into the door, releasing the prisoners. Though before Undyne chases them down, she gives me a heart-shaped box of candies to deliver to Alphys and threatens to arrest me if I open it myself. So I head out and give Undyne's chocolates to Alphys, then she tells me to let Undyne know that she appreciates it. Heading up the street, I enter Sans' store and check the freezer, then suddenly my mom comes in to pick up her eggs. But she gets joyfully distracted by Sans as they happily make egg puns together until my dad barges in as her ex-husband. Suddenly, Toriel's tone sharply changes as she coldly greets Asgore, who wants to give her flowers. But she quickly leaves him, so he approaches Sans to ask for the usual free pickles. Then Asgore asks what kind of flowers would make Toriel remember her warm feelings for him, but Sans just dodges the question, so Asgore ultimately leaves. After witnessing that drama, we exit the store, then head to the lake, but Onion wants to talk alone. So Susie backs off, then Onion asks if I missed them, and I say yes.
Oh, I was missed. My existence being acknowledged.
They're super happy and reveal that sometimes they hear some kind of familiar song at night deep underwater. They're going to investigate and tell me more tomorrow, so I regroup with Susie, then head back to my house. But just as Susie wishes me goodbye, Goat Mama opens the door and welcomes Susie in. Once inside, Toriel invites Susie to make pie with her and even suggests that I teach Susie how, but I get out of it by saying that I need to wash my hands. So while Toriel teaches Susie, I leave to the bathroom and run the tap, which makes lots of noise. But instead of washing their hands, Chris collapses and strikes themselves and rips me out, shoving me into the cupboard. Then they creepily zombie walk to the window and raise the shutters, then climb over and out. While I'm stuck for what feels like an eternity, Susie and Toriel nearly finish the pie, but Tori needs to get sugar from her car. Finally, Chris climbs back in and actually washes their hands, then shoves me back inside of them. I quickly head back to Susie, but then Toriel walks in concerned and says we should finish the pie later. Though just before Susie leaves, Mama insists Susie should spend the night here and lets her sleep on the couch. So after Toriel leaves, Susie and I crash on the couch, then Susie turns on the TV and mentions an upcoming festival, then asks who I would take with me. I say Ralsei, but it comes out very strangely, so Susie is weirded out. But we get back to watching TV, then Susie quickly falls asleep and I lie down as well. Though suddenly I hear Toriel calling an officer explaining that she saw someone prowling around outside and her car tires have been slashed. Thankfully, the officer is coming soon to investigate, so Toriel joins us and sits on her chair, then falls asleep as well. But once she's asleep, suddenly Chris gets up and rips me out again, shoving me into the sofa. Then they open the front door, turn on the TV, and stab their knife into the ground to create a new dark fountain. As I helplessly watch the room fill with darkness, Chris slowly returns to the sofa and shoves me back inside of them, then the TV grins with a malicious smile.